Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, and today I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the Anthem demo. Coming from someone who loves Mass Effect and Bioware games in general. So I've played around 7 hours, I've done all the demo missions, I've done the Stronghold raid, and some free roam as well. Plus I did all that in solo and also varying levels of squad members, so hopefully have a pretty good perspective on how the game plays with all those variables. And just so you know, I was playing this on PC and I'll put my specs on screen so you can see what I was running it on. So let's get into it, and we'll start with the bad first. Now, not to beat a dead horse too much, but I'm sure you've heard that these servers on day one were a massive issue. Pretty much the first few hours couldn't really get in at all, just infinitely sitting on the menu. Now they've said they didn't run out of servers, I don't really know what was going on. Couldn't you have taken some from Battlefield 5? I'm pretty sure they're all empty. No, but seriously, you know, it would have been good to not have these kind of issues, but what can you do? Here we are. Let's move on. There's other technical issues that are probably my main concerns with the game right now, which I'm sure you've heard from others or read online. Infinite loading screens, game crashes, things like that. I've experienced all of those, and one of my friends who was trying to play just pretty much crashed every time he tried to load into the game. He only got in once, and I've had crashes while just playing, while in the loading screen. Probably 4 over the about 7 hours I played, which isn't ideal. It doesn't leave me with a ton of confidence. Hopefully these get ironed out. The demo definitely feels like as much of a stress test for Bioware as it was to let players try out the game. So I guess it's good that we're having these issues now and maybe not on the full release, but we'll have to see if they crop up again. Hopefully not. Performance was another thing. It was really bad on the first day. Pretty terrible. Maybe server issues, but I was getting like sub 20 FPS basically the whole time. But on day 2 it was a lot better, probably 40-50 FPS the whole time on low settings, and it still looked pretty good, so it seemed odd. Maybe it was a one-off, we'll just have to see how we go. But I have seen a lot of people saying that performance for them was also pretty bad. The system requirements are quite low, so that's why it seemed pretty odd. Some of the mouse controls also seem pretty slow, even with the sensitivity cranked. It's like it's been decelerated or something like that. It's most prevalent in the UI. Speaking of which, the UI on PC sucks. It's pretty bad. It's obviously made for consoles. Sometimes there's even console UI pop-ups, like a D-pad, which I've seen a couple of times. It's just little things that make the PC version seem like it's just kind of cobbled together and maybe an afterthought. Little things like scrolling colours in the appearance menu also scrolls your character when it shouldn't. You can't directly click into sub-menus in like graphic settings, even though you can see the full menu. You have to click the heading to then get into it. It just feels unintuitive and honestly pretty slow. It looks great, but honestly it feels more form over function, at least on PC anyway. The controls itself in-game are hit or miss. The movement's good, which we'll talk about later, but some things like trying to fly in tight corners is really bad because you can't see what's above you, and the mouse controls kind of feel like they're decelerated or something. The underwater controls are just atrocious. It's almost impossible to stop moving and figure out where you are if you get disorientated. And also, when you're in the fort, the movement speed is so slow. The amount of times you're moving between missions or going to your javelin suit takes a while, and it gets pretty old pretty fast. There was also a super odd issue I had where the controls would just totally lock up and my character would just continue moving in whatever direction they were moving in. And it made the game really unplayable when it was happening often. It would happen probably every 15 seconds, and then at the end of that, all my movement inputs that I clicked in that time would all happen at once. It just was ridiculous. I couldn't look around, I couldn't do anything. On day 1 it was terrible and it basically stopped me from playing on the first day, but on the second day it pretty much went away. So again, super weird, maybe server issues. It still happened a couple of times on day 2, but not nearly as often and only for like half a second. So I don't know what's up with that. We'll just have to see what happens in the full game. Alright, now we're moving on to the good stuff. The graphics and effects are really great even on low settings. They all look excellent, they've got a really good punch to them. The sound effects are also equally good. Explosions and gunfire pack a big punch, and the suit effects like changing modes and using your jets to assist your movement are also really good. The actual feeling of flying around and using the javelin suit is really satisfying. Going from, say, sprinting to flying in a split second feels and looks really, really good. And the suit feels responsive and it's like you're in control. All the transitions are quick, and most of the time, except for the few ones I mentioned earlier, you don't feel hampered by the suit itself or the controls. It seems to do what you want it to do when you want it to do it. A lot of the movement feels really similar to Mass Effect Andromeda. Warning, contentious topic alert. No, but in all seriousness, the character is really agile, and it does honestly feel like you're just playing Mass Effect with biotic abilities. It feels familiar, which is nice. Combat is really fun, but my main issue with the combat is probably that some of the guns against some enemies, it's like more powerful ones, kind of don't feel like they do anything, and it's just like they're there to give you something to do while your abilities recharge, which luckily isn't too long, but it just means that some of the guns feel unimportant. At least using your abilities is really empowering though. And the verticality offered by your javelin adds a whole nother layer to combat, so you tend to forget about your guns not doing much damage. Plus the variety of all the weapons and abilities keeps it quite fresh, even with the somewhat limited number of them in the demo. Each javelin also has an ultimate ability that takes a while to build up, but they're really powerful and really, really fun to use. You've also got combos that are back from Mass Effect 3 and Andromeda, and they're even more satisfying to pull off here with huge text that pops up saying combo when you pull it and massive explosions, which is really fun. And all in all, when you just get into a groove of moving, shooting, and using your abilities all kind of in this nice flow, it's really satisfying and it honestly makes you feel unstoppable. Everyone can feel like they're carrying the team, which is really good and what you want for a 4-player co-op game. Onto the customization, there's a ton of variety for each of the javelins. I personally have tried the base and the interceptor models, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more in the full release. We will need to wait and see what it's like in the full game though, because they did say the demo is kind of balanced differently, so it might be that maybe all the colours aren't available from the start of the game like they are in the demo, but we'll just have to see how it goes. If it's anything like it is now, it's a really good system. It works the same with your abilities and weapons, there's a lot of choice and it gives you a great feeling of your javelin being your own and built to specifically how you want to use it. Now, this is a BioWare game after all, so we'll need to talk about the world a bit. It feels like it's got a lot of potential. The verticality in the map itself is really great and it feels super expansive. Being able to drop into valleys and climb out of them with your suit's jets in a moment's notice gives traversing a really great feeling of exploration. I can't really comment on the story either, as there's not really much in the demo. There's a few missions, but they don't really tell you much and they didn't entice me. I didn't really know what was going on, just a bunch of mumbo-jumbo words that people was talking to each other that didn't really mean anything to me. It's a difficult position though, because you're essentially just plopped into the game partway through with not really any context to what's going on, and I haven't really looked into the story in the pre-release stuff, which you shouldn't have to understand it. Some of the characters in the demo did seem especially uninteresting though, but again, maybe that's without context. If you played, I'm sure you'll know who I'm talking about. But at least the voice acting was pretty good. So, you know, it is a BioWare game, so I'm expecting pretty okay to even really good. I'm hoping for it to be really good, but we'll have to wait and see when the full game comes out. So overall, I did have a lot of fun with the Anthem demo. I'm still on the fence whether it's something I want to get invested into though. I'll be waiting for reviews on the full release too to hear about the story and how good the progression system is in its entirety and not just over a few levels. As for if you want to play it solo or with a team, from what I saw on the demo, I'd be pretty concerned to play it by myself. It was a lot better with even one more person, and it was really good with 4. But even if you don't have your own friends who want to join you, their matchmaking system seemed pretty good, and teaming up with randoms was hassle-free, and it worked really well, just chucking you in a squad of 2, 3, 4 and sending you on your way. So thanks for watching. If you did try Anthem as well, I'd love to hear what you guys thought in the comments. Let me know if you thought it was good, if you had fun, or if you didn't. And I'll definitely be jumping into the next demo, which I think is next weekend, to give it another try and spend a bit more time there. So thanks again for watching. See you next time.